I'm so used to coming here that I always go up to the mount. Today I forgot to speak from here. 今天是联合国的人权日，很多国家今天也是有人权的活动。我们马鲁啊，每年也是有在12月10号有一个人权的活动。去年是在一条船，今年是在芳林公园。为什么我们选芳林公园今年呢？因为芳林公园是免费的，不是。因为从9月2014年，很多人说芳林公园死了，芳林公园死掉了，没有人敢来了。为什么没有人敢来？我不可以讲出来。为什么？因为今年有个新的法令，如果那个案还是继行，你讲话有可能被罚款，有可能坐牢，所以不可以讲。有很多人说，人权跟我什么关系？我是一个人嘛，人权有什么用？你们看历史，尤其是这最近100年的历史，很多人权的活动，开始是什么？就是一个人出来，一个人问，为什么这样？可以做好一点吗？可以改吗？一个人就变成几个人、几十个人、几百个人、几千个人、几万个人、几十万个人、几百万个人。所以没有人权，国家就没有进步的。没有人权，人民的生活不会更好的。人权就是为民请愿，人权就是为民为国。当你们在网上说哦，我喜欢这个文章，我看读了。我跟我的朋友在网上分享，这个政策我看有一点问题了。或者你跟你朋友聊天的时候，你讲，这个我看做的不大好。芳林公园是新加坡唯一新加坡人可以来抗议，跟同时有言论自由的地方。每一个人的贡献都是很重要的。国家有难，匹夫有责。The International Convention and Civil and Political Rights. You know what's the biggest human rights joke in the world today? That no country in the world has changed the rules for elections such that an estimated 99.something% of the population of the citizens cannot qualify to stand for election. This is the biggest joke in the world for human rights. That more than 90% of all the presidents of all the countries in the world also don't qualify now under our rules. You know, when I was in Hanoi in October for human rights meeting, I told the meeting of this joke. Nobody was laughing. You know why? This is a very, very serious matter. When you are deprived of your right of political participation. Back to Hong Lim Park, Speaker's Corner. I mentioned earlier when I spoke in Chinese. Nobody dares to come to Speaker's Corner anymore since September 2014. Why? I cannot talk about it because this year they passed a new law, the Administration of Justice Act. If I talk about a case, a court case that's ongoing, the person can be fined or jailed. Isn't it a big joke that Marua, a human rights NGO, comes to Hong Lim Park, Speaker's Corner, the only place where you can have freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and I cannot talk about it? That is the right human rights joke. Today's news read the newspaper. Says, oh, the right to welfare, ComCare, the amount they pay out is the new record, $130 million a year. The number of households getting assistance, new record, 40,000 households. You divide 130 million by 40,000, you know what you get? Roughly $200 a month per household per month. Don't forget, according to the Economist magazine, Singapore is the most expensive city in the world. $200 average per household per month. We don't have a minimum wage. There are still people working for $5, $6 an hour. There are still about 100,000 people who earn less than $1,200 a month. You know, last few days there was this very hot news, you know. Travel agent closed down. Cleaner and her two friends saved all the money to go to Hokkaido to see snow. Up in smoke. So travel agent comes to help, airline comes to help, now they get to go. But you read, how much is this cleaner earning? $250 a month. As a part-time cleaner. You know the average cleaner is still getting like $1,000, just over $1,000. This is a part-time cleaner, you get $250. The right to work is in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. Since we're on the subject of work and jobs, the right to a job in the 18 months until June this year, employment growth, 49,000 foreigners, locals 500, 49,000 foreigners jobs growth in the 18 months to June this year, locals 500. And locals include permanent residents. How many of the 500 jobs growth in the 18 months went to Singaporeans? Nobody knows. Why? Because there's no transparency. They don't break down the jobs or employment change into Singaporeans and PRs. That's until June. Come to September, it's even worse. Last quarter, job growth in total shrank, decreased by 3,300. So can you imagine, if the 18 months to June only 500 local jobs, and last quarter 3,300 contraction, local and foreign jobs. How many jobs went to Singaporeans in the last 21 months? Maybe minus. The unemployment rate, non-seasonally adjusted, has gone up to 4.1%. The number of unemployed has gone to 92,000. That is why, after discussing with my colleagues in Marua, we decided on the title, The Sorry State of Human Rights in Singapore. And now, I'm going to touch on the the sorriest sorry state that we are in. We are the only country in the world that from a cash flow perspective don't spend any money at all on healthcare or public housing or pensions. Every year, our MediSave contributions plus the interest on all our MediSave accounts may exceed total government healthcare spending plus all our withdrawals from MediSave to pay for medical expenses and insurance premiums. If indeed it is still the case that the money coming in on the left pocket is more than the money going out on the right pocket, then we are still the only country in the world that is not spending a single cent on healthcare. Although government spending has gone up $11 billion, much of this is not just operating expenditure on healthcare. It includes development expenditure on healthcare. Public housing. We have the most, or probably the most expensive public housing in the world, when you compare the price of our public housing to the income of the people in Singapore. Every year they tell you, the more flats we sell, the more money we lose. Why? Because we subsidize the flats. But as occasionally people ask in parliament, people ask in the newspaper, can you break down the price for us into how much you are charging for construction and how much you are charging for land? Silence! If you look at the cost, if you know the cost for land, then you ask yourself, are you really giving a subsidy or are you making money? Because, as the minister said in parliament, we charge land on HDB flats based on market rates. Fine, but give us the breakdown so we know how market are the market rates. Read today's newspaper, the consistent rhetoric. HDB flats are very affordable, you know. You earn less than 1,000, you can afford a HDB flat. And how do they justify HDB flat affordable? Oh, all the people who bought 4-room flat only use now 22% of their income. A few years ago was 25%. This kind of justification, if you use it in school, you'll get an F grade. You know why? If you measure the people who are already staying in the HDB flat, of course it's affordable. Because those who couldn't afford it in the first place didn't buy the flat. And those who bought the flat and can't afford gave up the flat already. So all the people staying there must always be affordable. What kind of school did they go to? Your CPF. They take your money. They invest the money. They give you some money back. So we need transparency. What is the weighted average rate of return of all the CPF accounts year by year since they started? Don't tell us ordinary 2.5, special and Medisave retirement for the first 60,000 distributed extra one, now over 55, the first 30,000 extra one. Just tell on the average what is the rate? Is it 3.5, whatever? And then tell us, historically, you took this money, what return did you get from it? Did you get 6.5%? Did you get 7.5%? Because if you get these numbers, you can see we're the only country in the world where they take so much of the people's pension fund and give to the government. And when the government keeps it, it is a loss to you. Anything wrong with such a policy? Nothing wrong. Because if government don't give some of your pension fund, they got no money to spend. They don't have budget surplus every year. But the issue here is we want to know how much are you keeping every year since the CPF started. The issue is not whether you are keeping. We want to know how much. Is it 1% a year average? Is it 2% a year average? Is it 3% a year average? I'm going to end by thanking first all the volunteers and members of Marua. You know, Marua has no money, no office, no staff. Because we are gazetted as a political association, we cannot receive foreign funds, which in Singapore means if foreign funds cannot give money to you, all the Singaporeans also dare not give money to you. But what we have is priceless. We have all these dedicated volunteers and members who work for free year after year. And we have Prema, who became the president for 6 years. I was telling Prema, you owe me a debt for the rest of your life. Okay? Because nobody will take over your place. But like many of the speakers have said, sometimes in life, It may be just one person, but if you can do something, do it. And I say that because I thank all of you for coming today, like 50 of you. You are the bravest Singaporeans in the world. You know why? Because in September 27, 2014, 2 people were charged for illegal demonstration. 6 people were charged for public nuisance. I think about 16 people were requested to go for interview. And many of them received letters of warning. So all my friends say, I will never go to Hong Lim Park. I happen to be there, they end up go for interview. And then some got charged for public nuisance. And some got charged for illegal demonstration. But never mind. It does not matter whether we have 50 people, 10 people, or one person. Because human rights is universal. Human rights is indispensable. Human rights cannot be divided. Human rights will continue. Thank you very much.